Hello, welcome to another edition of the Raleigh Coin Club Show and Tell. Our subject this time is North Carolina Civil War money. There are 42 major types of these notes, with denominations from 5 cents to $100. Unlike our current currency, which is printed on both sides, the NC notes were only printed on one side, so they are called Uniface notes. But because paper was scarce, and to make it harder for counterfeiters, about 1/3 of the denominations have some quantity printed on the reverse of unused obsolete notes, unused Civil War notes and bonds, or had devices printed on the back to indicate the value of the note. What is on the back of the notes is the subject of this talk. Collecting the obverses is relatively easy, as most are readily available. Finding all the variety of reverses is a bit more challenging. Let's look at some of the possibilities. Before we get to see the currency, we need to learn to classify the ones we do find. In the 1950s, Grover Criswell, a dealer in Southern States money, developed a system to classify the many varieties of notes. Major varieties from each state note received a C/R number from 1 to 100 or more, depending on the state. Minor varieties, of that major variety, received a letter after the number. For example, there might be a variety 32, with subvarieties, A through F. This system has been updated in the book, seen here on the left, by Hugh Shull. Shull does identify most of the reverses that were used. But, for some listings, he will only detail that the reverse is an obsolete state bank note. He does not always identify which specific notes were used. For that information we need to go to the next reference. The book by J. Roy Pinnell is solely about obsolete North Carolina banknotes. There were many banks in NC cities that issued currency prior to the Civil War, but the section we are interested in is the Bank of the State of North Carolina. In this section, Mr. Pinnell identifies all the obsolete bank notes from that entity and provides a numbering system for them. So now we have a complete numbering system, as some notes will have a C/R number, followed by a Pinnell or P number. For the Bank of the State of North Carolina, those numbers run from 1100 to 1245. Here are some $1 and $2 notes that ended up with portions of obsolete notes on the reverse. Note the overprints of $1 and $2. Their Pinnell numbers are as noted. Some of the higher value, obsolete Uniface notes that were used had multiple values printed at the same time, as fewer of those notes were needed, such as 20 and 50 and 100. Two of those are on the right side of the top row. Generally, the notes are black and white. But, some of the notes also had a red tint, as seen at the bottom, earning an A designation after the Pinnell number. Sometimes, unused Uniface bonds were used, as seen in the notes above. Because bonds had a certificate at the top, and coupons below, all sorts of variations can be found, as the entire bond was used. Some of the paper used came from unused notes from the Mechanics Bank in Augusta, Georgia. There were 5 and 25-cent notes. As can be seen in the center notes, it is possible to piece together what the entire note looked like, if you are able to obtain notes with matching reverses. This applies to all obsolete notes used, not just the Georgia notes, as you will see next. Later in the Civil War, even North Carolina Uniface notes, that were current, were used to print other more needed notes. Notes used were the $3, $20, and $50 notes. On the left, 3 separate notes give an approximation of the entire $20 note. And then there are some oddities. Clockwise from the top left, they are, first, a leftover Alabama $1 note, with a green 1. Second, a 25-cent protector overprint, on the reverse, rather than obverse. Third, a red lace pattern, surrounding $1. Fourth, TCC & Company watermarked paper. In the center, is a note that is called a full offset. This happened when freshly printed notes were laid on top of others, with wet ink, so the printing is reversed. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button. If you'd like to follow us, please subscribe.